Have you ever wondered which words hold the greatest power to achieve wealth? This question has haunted humanity since the dawn of civilization, driving explorers to distant lands, motivating inventors to create revolutionary technologies, and inspiring countless individuals to pursue dreams that seemed impossible. Throughout history, people have searched for the secret formula, the hidden key, the magical incantation that would unlock the doors to prosperity and abundance. Some have looked to ancient alchemical texts, others to modern financial strategies, and many to the wisdom of successful entrepreneurs. But what if I told you that the most powerful words for achieving wealth have been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years, written in one of the most widely read books in human history? The pursuit of wealth is fundamentally a pursuit of security, freedom, and the ability to impact the world around us. When we examine the deepest motivations behind our desire for financial abundance, we discover that it's rarely about the money itself. Instead, it's about what money represents: the power to provide for our families, the freedom to pursue our passions, the security to weather life's storms, and the ability to contribute meaningfully to causes we believe in. This understanding transforms our relationship with wealth from one of mere accumulation to one of stewardship and purpose. Consider the philosophical implications of this question. If certain words truly possess the power to generate wealth, what does this say about the nature of reality itself? Are we living in a universe where thoughts and intentions can literally reshape our material circumstances? Modern quantum physics suggests that consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping reality at the most basic level. The observer effect demonstrates that the act of observation itself changes the outcome of quantum experiments. If consciousness can influence reality at the subatomic level, perhaps it's not so far-fetched to consider that focused intention, expressed through specific words and prayers, might influence our financial circumstances as well. The relationship between language and reality has fascinated philosophers for millennia. Words are not merely symbols we use to communicate. They are tools that shape our perception of the world and consequently our experience within it. When we speak with conviction about our financial goals, when we declare our worthiness to receive abundance, when we express gratitude for what we already have, we are not just making sounds or moving air molecules. We are engaging in an act of creation, aligning our consciousness with the frequencies of prosperity and abundance. This brings us to an extraordinary discovery that has been transforming lives for thousands of years, yet remains largely unknown to the modern world. Deep within the ancient texts of the Bible lies a prayer so powerful, so precisely crafted for attracting financial blessing, that those who understand its true meaning and apply its principles consistently report remarkable transformations in their economic circumstances. This prayer is not hidden in some obscure passage or buried in complex theological language. Instead, it sits in plain view in the Book of Psalms, waiting for those who have eyes to see and hearts to understand. Psalm 112 represents one of the most comprehensive and practical guides to achieving wealth ever written. Unlike modern financial advice that focuses primarily on external strategies and techniques, Psalm 112 addresses the internal transformation that must occur before external abundance can manifest. It speaks to the character traits, mindset, and spiritual alignment necessary to attract and maintain lasting prosperity. The psalm doesn't promise quick riches or overnight success. Instead, it outlines a way of being that naturally attracts blessing and abundance. The Bible has always been more than a religious text. It is a guidebook for living successfully in every area of life, including our finances. Throughout its pages, we find numerous examples of individuals who achieved extraordinary wealth through their faith and adherence to divine principles. Abraham became incredibly wealthy through his trust in God's promises. Solomon's wisdom brought him riches beyond measure. The virtuous woman described in Proverbs 31 created multiple streams of income through her diligence and wisdom. These are not fairy tales or mythical stories. They are practical examples of how spiritual principles can translate into material prosperity. What makes Psalm 112 particularly powerful is its specific focus on the characteristics and outcomes associated with those who fear the Lord and delight in His commandments. The Hebrew word used for fear in this context doesn't imply terror or anxiety. Rather, it represents a deep reverence, awe, and respect that leads to obedience and alignment with divine principles. This fear of the Lord is described throughout Scripture as the beginning of wisdom, and wisdom is consistently linked to prosperity and success. The psalm begins by declaring, "Blessed the man who fears the Lord and greatly delights in His commandments." This sets the foundation for everything that follows. Delight is a key word here, suggesting not grudging obedience, but joyful enthusiasm for living according to divine principles. When we approach God's commandments with delight rather than duty, we tap into a source of energy and motivation that can sustain us through any challenge or setback. The text then promises that His descendants will be mighty in the earth, and that the generation of the upright will be blessed. This speaks to the generational impact of living according to these principles. When we align ourselves with divine principles of prosperity, we're not just changing our own financial circumstances. We're establishing a legacy that will benefit our children and their children. The wealth we create through righteous means becomes a blessing that extends far beyond our own lifetime. Wealth and riches are in His house, the psalm declares, and His righteousness endures forever. Notice the connection between righteousness and lasting prosperity. Many people achieve temporary wealth through questionable means, but the wealth described in Psalm 112 is sustainable because it's built on a foundation of righteousness. This wealth doesn't disappear with market crashes or economic downturns because it's rooted in character and divine favor rather than manipulation or exploitation. The psalm describes this blessed individual as one who rises in the darkness as a light to the upright. This suggests that the person living according to these principles becomes a source of hope and guidance for others, especially during difficult times. There's something profoundly attractive about someone who maintains their generosity, kindness, and wisdom even when facing challenges. This attractiveness naturally draws opportunities, partnerships, and resources. He is gracious, full of compassion, and righteous, the text continues. These character traits are not just moral ideals. They are practical tools for building wealth. Graciousness opens doors that remain closed to the harsh and demanding. Compassion creates deep relationships that often lead to unexpected opportunities. Righteousness builds trust, and trust is the foundation of all successful business relationships. A good man shows favor and lends, the psalm states, and he will guide his affairs with discretion. This reveals a crucial principle of biblical wealth: building, generosity, and wise stewardship. The person described in Psalm 112 is not hoarding wealth, but actively using it to bless others through lending and showing favor. This creates a cycle of abundance where giving leads to receiving, which leads to more giving and more receiving. The discretion mentioned here refers to wisdom in decision-making, the ability to discern good opportunities from bad ones, and the skill to manage resources effectively. This discretion is not gained through formal education alone, but through the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. When we align ourselves with divine principles, we gain access to supernatural wisdom that guides our financial decisions. Surely, He will never be shaken, for the righteous will be in everlasting remembrance. This promise of stability is particularly relevant in our volatile economic times. While markets fluctuate and industries change, the person who has built their wealth on righteous principles enjoys a stability that transcends external circumstances. They may face temporary setbacks, but they will not be ultimately shaken because their foundation is secure. He will not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is established, trusting in the Lord. Fear is one of the greatest enemies of wealth building. When we make financial decisions based on fear, we often miss opportunities or make poor choices that limit our prosperity. The confidence that comes from trusting in divine provision allows us to take calculated risks, pursue opportunities, and maintain a positive outlook even when facing challenges. His heart is established. He will not be afraid until he sees his desire upon his enemies. This speaks to the long-term perspective necessary for building lasting wealth. The person described in Psalm 112 is not seeking quick victories or immediate gratification. Instead, they maintain their course with patience and persistence, knowing that ultimate victory is assured. He has dispersed abroad. He has given to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. His horn will be exalted with honor. Here we see the culmination of the wealth-building process described in the psalm. The blessed individual uses their prosperity to benefit others, particularly the poor and needy. This generosity is not a burden but a joy, and it actually increases their honor and influence in the community. The wicked will see it and be grieved. He will gnash his teeth and melt away. The desire of the wicked shall perish. This final verse serves as a stark contrast to the fate of those who pursue wealth through unrighteous means. While the righteous prosper and their wealth endures, those who build their fortunes on exploitation and selfishness ultimately face disappointment and loss. Understanding Psalm 112 in the context of modern financial principles reveals remarkable parallels between ancient wisdom and contemporary success strategies. The character traits described in the psalm align perfectly with the qualities identified by modern researchers as essential for long-term financial success. Integrity, generosity, wisdom, persistence, and the ability to build strong relationships are consistently cited as key factors in achieving and maintaining wealth. The psalm's emphasis on delighting in God's commandments translates into finding joy and purpose in our work. When we pursue careers and business opportunities that align with our values and allow us to contribute meaningfully to society, we tap into a source of motivation and energy that makes success more likely and more satisfying. The promise that wealth and riches will be in his house speaks to the importance of creating multiple streams of income and building assets that generate passive income. The person described in Psalm 112 is not just earning money through active work, but has created systems and investments that continue to produce wealth even when they're not actively working. The description of this individual as gracious and compassionate in their dealings translates directly into excellent customer service, fair business practices, and a kind of reputation that attracts loyal customers and business partners. In our interconnected world, reputation is more valuable than ever, and the character traits described in Psalm 112 naturally build the kind of reputation that supports long-term financial success. The Psalm's emphasis on discretion and wise stewardship aligns with modern financial advice about budgeting, investing wisely, and avoiding debt. The biblical principle of living below your means, saving consistently, and investing for the future is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. The promise of stability and lack of fear in the face of economic uncertainty speaks to the importance of building an emergency fund, diversifying investments, and maintaining a long-term perspective. When we have our financial house in order according to biblical principles, we can weather economic storms that devastate those who have built their wealth on unstable foundations. The Psalm's description of giving to the poor and dispersing abroad reflects the modern understanding of the importance of giving back to the community and supporting causes we believe in. This generosity not only creates positive karma, but also builds valuable relationships and enhances our reputation in ways that often lead to unexpected opportunities. Applying the principles of Psalm 112 to modern financial planning requires both faith and practical action. It's not enough to simply read the psalm and expect wealth to appear. We must embody the character traits it describes and take concrete steps to align our financial practices with biblical principles. This begins with developing a proper relationship with money itself. Money is not evil, but the love of money is described as the root of all kinds of evil. A person described in Psalm 112 has a healthy relationship with wealth, seeing it as a tool for blessing others rather than an end in itself. This perspective frees us from the anxiety and greed that often sabotage our financial success. We must also cultivate the character traits described in the psalm. Becoming gracious, compassionate, and righteous is not something that happens overnight. It requires intentional effort and consistent practice. As we develop these qualities, we naturally attract the kind of opportunities and relationships that support financial success. The Psalm's emphasis on discretion reminds us of the importance of financial education and wise decision-making. We must take responsibility for learning about money management, investing, and business principles. The fear of the Lord may be the beginning of wisdom, but wisdom also requires study and application. That building wealth, according to Psalm 112 also, requires patience and persistence. The stability and lasting prosperity described in the psalm don't develop overnight. We must be willing to make sacrifices in the short term for long-term gain, to persist through setbacks and challenges, and to maintain our integrity even when it seems costly. The generosity described in the psalm must be practiced from the beginning of our wealth-building journey, not just after we've achieved financial success. This requires faith and trust in the principle of sowing and reaping. When we give generously, even from our limited resources, we position ourselves to receive abundantly as our wealth grows. Throughout this process, we must maintain our focus on the ultimate purpose of wealth, to honor God and bless others. When we pursue financial success for its own sake, we often find that it brings more stress and dissatisfaction than joy. But when we see wealth as a tool for fulfilling our divine purpose, the pursuit becomes meaningful and fulfilling. The practical application of Psalm 112 principles also requires us to examine our current financial practices and make necessary changes. This might mean changing careers to align with our values, starting a business that serves others, adjusting our spending habits to reflect biblical principles, or restructuring our investments to support companies and causes we believe in. Must also address any negative beliefs or attitudes about money that might be limiting our success. Many people have unconscious beliefs that wealth is evil, that rich people are greedy, or that they don't deserve financial abundance. These beliefs create internal resistance that sabotages our efforts to build wealth. The truth is that when wealth is pursued and used according to biblical principles, it becomes a force for tremendous good in the world. The community aspect of wealth building described in Psalm 112 reminds us that we're not meant to pursue financial success in isolation. We need mentors, advisors, and peers who share our values and can provide guidance and accountability. The person described in the psalm is not a lone wolf, but someone who is deeply connected to their community and actively contributing to its well-being. As we consider the eternal perspective presented in Psalm 112, we're reminded that true wealth extends beyond our earthly lifetime. The righteousness that endures forever and the generational blessings described in the psalm speak to the importance of building wealth that will outlast us. This means not just accumulating money, but creating systems, institutions, and legacies that will continue to generate blessing long after we're gone. The transformation that occurs when we align our financial lives with the principles of Psalm 112 extends far beyond our bank accounts. We become different people with different priorities, different relationships, and different impacts on the world around us. The wealth we accumulate becomes a natural byproduct of who we've become rather than something we forced or manipulated into existence. This transformation also affects our families and future generations. When we model the principles of Psalm 112, we teach our children not just how to make money, but how to build character, serve others, and create lasting value. The generational blessing described in the psalm becomes a reality as our descendants inherit not just financial wealth, but the wisdom and character necessary to steward it well. The stability promised in Psalm 112 becomes especially valuable in times of economic uncertainty. While others panic and make poor decisions based on fear, those who have built their wealth on biblical principles and maintain their course with confidence. They understand that their ultimate security comes not from their bank accounts, but from their relationship with the source of all abundance. As we contemplate the power of Psalm 112 to transform our financial circumstances, we must remember that this transformation requires both faith and action. We must believe in the promises contained in the psalm, while also taking practical steps to embody its principles. This combination of faith and works creates a powerful synergy that can overcome seemingly impossible obstacles and create opportunities where none existed before. The beauty of Psalm 112 lies not just in its promises, but in its accessibility. These principles are available to anyone, regardless of their current financial situation, educational background, or social status. Psalm describes a way of being that is open to all who are willing to fear the Lord and delight in His commandments. Thank you so much for watching this exploration of Psalm 112 and its incredible power to transform our financial lives. The principles we've discussed today are not just ancient wisdom, but practical tools that can revolutionize your relationship with money and abundance. When we align our hearts, minds, and actions with the timeless truths contained in this remarkable psalm, we position ourselves to receive the blessings that God desires to pour out upon our lives. Remember, the transformation described in Psalm 112 is not just about accumulating wealth for its own sake, but about becoming the kind of person who can handle prosperity with wisdom, generosity, and righteousness. As we develop these character traits and apply these principles consistently, we create a foundation for lasting abundance that extends far beyond our own lives to bless our families, our communities, and future generations. The journey of applying Psalm 112 to your financial life begins with a single step, a decision to trust in these divine principles and begin embodying them in your daily decisions and actions. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or looking to take your wealth building to the next level, these ancient truths provide a roadmap that has been proven effective for thousands of years. I encourage you to take a moment right now to reflect on what you've heard today and consider how you might begin applying these principles in your own life. Perhaps it's developing a more generous spirit, making wiser financial decisions, or simply cultivating a deeper reverence for the divine principles that govern abundance. Whatever your next step may be, know that you have within you the power to change your financial destiny by aligning with the incredible wisdom contained in Psalm 112. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this powerful psalm and its potential to transform financial circumstances. Do you believe that Psalm 112 truly holds the power to attract financial blessing and abundance? Have you experienced the truth of these principles in your own life? Or do you have questions about how to apply them practically? Your insights and experiences could be exactly what another viewer needs to hear to take the next step toward financial freedom and abundance. Please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps spread this important message to others who who need to hear about the transformative power of Psalm 1:2. And if you found value in today's discussion, I'd be incredibly grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest insights on biblical principles for success and abundance. Not until next time. May you walk in the blessing and prosperity that comes from aligning your life with divine principles. And may the words of Psalm 112 become a living reality in your financial journey. Goodbye for now, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.